This is Radio Romania International. You are listening to our one-hour broadcast in English for listeners in Western Europe and Japan. We can also be heard on the internet at www.rri.ro Channel 1. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter and other social media platforms. Our programs are also available on TuneIn and via satellite Eutelsat 16A on 11,512 megahertz, vertical polarization, azimuth 16 degrees east. Symbol rate 29,950 mega symbols per second, standard DVB-S2, modulation 8 PSK, audio PID 510. We wish you good reception conditions. Hello, this is Daniel Biltz with the news, the headlines. 15 Romanian nationals who have been evacuated from Afghanistan have arrived in Romania on board of a Hercules plane belonging to the Romanian Air Forces. Romania has deployed to Greece 142 firefighters and 30 fire engines to help the local authorities put out wildfires that are affecting the country. And until August the 29th, the city of Sibiu in central Romania is hosting the International Theatre Festival, the biggest event devoted to arts in Romania and one of the most important in Europe. 15 Romanian nationals landed in Bucharest on Saturday on board of a Hercules plane belonging to Romania's Air Forces as part of the government's efforts to repatriate all the Romanian citizens from Afghanistan. The plane, which has also evacuated 4 Bulgarian citizens, has so far flown to Kabul 3 times. Romanian President Klaus Iohannis has hailed the repatriation of the Romanian citizens and the commitment of the authorities involved in the process. 30 Romanian nationals have so far been evacuated from Afghanistan by planes of partner countries. Iohannis pledges that authorities in Bucharest will carry on the operations aimed at evacuating the Romanians and Afghan citizens who contributed to the Romanian troops stationed there. Of the students who are owners of Romanian scholarships or those in vulnerable positions. In turn, Romania's Defense Minister Nicolae Ciucă has underlined the cooperation with the North Atlantic Alliance with the US partners and thanked the Pakistani authorities for the support given to the Romanian crew. According to Minister Ciucă, the Romanian army is ready to provide assistance in all the missions involving the protection of the country's citizens wherever they are. Romania has deployed to Greece 142 firefighters and 30 fire engines to help the local authorities put out wildfires that are affecting the country. The Romanian firefighters' mission is due to last 10 days, but their stay could be extended if need be. The firefighters from Romania are going to operate in the province of Attica, close to Athens, where it is difficult to intervene because this region of pine forests lacks proper roads for vehicles. 2 weeks ago, 108 firefighters from Romania were dispatched to Greece and had a good contribution to putting out fires in the island of Ilia. Their professionalism has been highly appreciated by the population, their Greek colleagues and the local press. The city of Sibiu in central Romania on Friday saw the opening of the 20th edition of the International Theatre Festival, the largest event devoted to arts in Romania and one of the most important in Europe. 600 theatre and dance performances, concerts and workshops are to be put up in various historical locations during the festival, which also involves the participation of 2,000 artists from 38 countries. The festival will unfold with a real audience as well as online. 40 events were scheduled for Friday, performed by artists from 15 countries. 591 new COVID infections were reported in Romania in the last 24 hours, out of the 40,100 tests conducted, as well as 15 related fatalities. 182 patients are being presently treated in ICUs. Romania's capital city, Bucharest, has reported the largest number of infections, while authorities are looking for ways to convince the people to get the jab. The head of Romania's vaccine rollout, physician Valeriu Gheorghiță, has told the TV channel that the idea of inviting those vulnerable to vaccination points through SMSs is being considered by the authorities. He has also announced that third booster shots could roll out in Romania in October, but authorities here are waiting for a recommendation from the European Medicines Agency. And now to end the news bulletin, here is a reminder of the main stories. 15 Romanian nationals who have been evacuated from Afghanistan have arrived in Romania on board of a Hercules plane belonging to the Romanian Air Forces. Romania has deployed to Greece 142 firefighters and 30 fire engines to help the local authorities put out wildfires that are affecting the country. And until August the 29th, the city of Sibiu in central Romania is hosting the International Theatre Festival, the biggest event devoted to arts in Romania and one of the most important in Europe. Coming up next, the Week in Review.
Hello and welcome to the Week in Review. I am Călin Cățoiu. People with a COVID-19 jab have a chance of dying 14 times lower than the ones who don't, a risk of infection 10 times lower, and a risk of ICU and hospitalization 12 times lower. These are the results of the first study on the effectiveness of the vaccine run in Romania, presented by Valeriu Gheorghiță, coordinator of the National Vaccination Campaign. Considering that the rise in the number of cases in the last few days is alarming, the physician launched an appeal to compliance with protection measures and recommended once again vaccination in view of the Delta variant appearing in Romania, which is much more contagious. Dr. Gheorghiță said on TV that the authorities expect a rise in the number of cases, including serious ones, and that the trend would be the same next month.
Există probabilitate foarte mare de a înregistra o creștere a numărului de cazuri. Să ajungem.
There is a high probability to register a rise in the number of cases, and in late May we may reach a number of over 900 cases in a single day, and in the second part of September over 1,500 to 1,600 cases, considering relaxation measures and the fact that the Delta variant is becoming dominant. However, the most important indicator is that related to gravity. However, at this point, we have an estimate that 1 in 2 Romanians have a degree of immunity, either post-illness or post-vaccination. Our data indicate that vaccination reduces the risk of infection, irrespective of the clinical form of the illness. That was Dr. Valeriu Gheorghiță. In terms of vaccination, from the first day of this week, the authorities announced that they are over the threshold of 5 million vaccinations in Romania overall. At the same time, over the last few days, the number of infections reached record levels in the last 3 months, with over 500 infections per day for days on end. The number of inpatient cases is over 1,000, with a rise in ICU cases as well as lethal cases. The Romanian economy has recovered the losses from the pandemic crisis, according to authorities. Data from the National Institute of Statistics indicate that the GDP rose in the second quarter by 13.6% as compared to the same period in 2020, while for the first 6 months of the year it went up to 6.5%. Prime Minister Florin Câțu believes that it is for the first time in the last 30 years when the economic growth is investment-based, not consumption-based. Here is Florin Câțu.
Economia României a depășit criza economică în doar un an, fiind cea mai rapidă.
The Romanian economy has overcome the crisis in just 1 year, as the fastest economic recovery that Romania has had after such a crisis. Over the next period, I wish for two things: predictability and stability in our economic life. The opposition Social Democratic Party claims that the economic progress is modest compared to the period before the pandemic, and that people will have lower incomes because of the high inflation, which was noted by the European Office of Statistics. Eurostat on Wednesday announced that Romania was one of the community countries with the highest inflation last month, which was 3.8%, compared to 3.5% in June. As the situation in Afghanistan continues to deteriorate, the Foreign Ministry in Bucharest announced that the Cross-Institutional Crisis Panel continues its activity in support of Romanian citizens on Afghan territory. These days, the safe evacuation of these people continues. The Foreign Ministry said in a press release that the activity of the Romanian embassy in Kabul was suspended in 2019 after an attack that gravely affected the building. Considering the lack of an operational mission in Kabul and the fact that the embassy in Islamabad took over the relation with Afghanistan, its capacity to intervene in the latter country is limited, the ministry release continues. Since 2002 to now, over 32,000 Romanian forces participated in the Afghan theater of operations. 27 lost their lives, and 200 have been injured in these almost 2 decades of Romanian presence in the country. The 108 Romanian firefighters who fought wildfires in Greece are back at home, where they were decorated and promoted. During the ceremonies, the head of the Department for Emergency Situations, Raed Arafat, thanked the firefighters for the courage and professionalism they showed. Minister of the Interior Lucian Bode congratulated the firefighters and said that all Romanians were at their side during this difficult mission. We all know that this was an exhausting mission which will be talked about for a long time and which will stand as a lesson in determination, responsibility, solidarity, and spirit of sacrifice. Gentlemen, you have made us proud by what you did on the mission in Greece, on the island of Evia, devastated by vegetation fires. The Greek press also wrote about the professionalism, courage of the Romanians, and the locals thanked them for their help. You have been listening to The Weekend Review.
Coming up next on Radio Romania International, Culture and Nature.
Hello and welcome. I am Călin Pățări. For those who spend their summer in Bucharest, be it on vacation or simply enjoying the relaxation of restrictions imposed by the pandemic, an urban hunt can be very exciting. It is a quirky form of entertainment that invites you to discover the city and develop your general knowledge. This hunt is cultural in nature, a hunt for architectural treasure in an old and special part of Bucharest called Vatra Luminoasă. It is in the eastern part of the city and started being urbanized between the wars when it was a rural part of the city limits. The project was granted to the House of Buildings, a government office that was charged